guys, in this video I thought we'd have a go at making an Aquaman cake. I found this really cute image of a Funko Pop character and I thought it'd be great fun to give him a go. So I've printed off a picture, so it's only going to be a small cake. Just make sure you've got a cake drum that's a bit bigger than the picture. First thing I'm going to make is his trident, as this needs some time to set. So I'm using modelling paste. I'll put links in the description box below to exactly what I've used. Now I've used navy blue just because I had navy blue to hand, but you can use any colour because we're going to paint it up afterwards. Tried to roll it out into a nice long even sort of snake shape, and I've got one straight line for the stick. Can you see I've done it on some greaseproof paper because then it's easy for me to follow the lines of the trident on there. And let's cut smaller pieces for the end. I'm just sticking them together with a bit of water. Now they do move apart a little bit at first, so make sure you've got it balanced exactly where you want it to set, and they will set nice and solid. And we've got some smaller pieces that are narrow at both ends that we're kind of pushing together. Let's put an indentation down the middle where it's going to go over like the centre bit. And we'll just push that onto there. So we're going to make some little triangle cones for the end of our trident. So just going to roll your paste, trim it till we get enough little cone shapes for the end of each of these spear bits. And let's put a little teardrop at the end. A couple of little fat sausages that are joining on from that teardrop at the end. Now, it does look like I've painted it immediately. I have actually left this overnight to dry. Okay, I wouldn't pick it up straight away. Give it at least overnight so it has set hardened together, otherwise you're going to break it. And I'll put links to the silver below that we've used. We're just going to use a small cake. So this is just a 6-inch cake that I've got in this one. And because I was just making it fun, nobody's eating it. So maybe my dad will eat it. He eats lots of my cakes. But other than that, nobody's eating it. So I didn't want to make a huge cake. So I've cut up the templates, the print off that I've got earlier. I kind of cut it into pieces. And I'm just marking around where his hairline goes and his head. So you'll see I didn't bother leveling the cake off at the top because I need a bit of a curve on this edge anyway, so that's fine. So once I've marked around that hairline, I'm going in with my knife at a little bit of an angle. Let's cut a little bit off the top of the hair, just there. And go around the sides of the face. So can you see it's making the face slightly lower and the hairline then sits a little bit higher. But then we're going to cut around the bottom of the face. Can you see we've cut out sort of where the neck area is. And they have left the first cake. You can see where it's sandwiched together with buttercream underneath. We're going to do the same where the beard goes. Just really carefully cut out the little mouth area bit. Just going to trim a little bit more. Just flattening it slightly where the eyes are going to sit. And I'm just going to cover mine in ganache. Now you can use buttercream. But I've got some ganache that I've made up for a cake I was making yesterday. So I'm going to use this ganache again. Now I have popped it in the microwave just a tiny bit longer than I should have. So it's a bit soft. But as I'm using it, it will thicken up. So can you see when she's gone fully all the way around? Just try and smooth it off the best you can. And we're going to cover it in fondant, but let it dry first. So give it a couple of hours to set or stick it in the fridge for 10 minutes. And I've mixed together a little bit of skin colour fondant. It's a pale skin tone fondant and a little bit of white. Now I've got a huge pack of icing. I'm not going to need it all. So roll it out, stick that on over the face area, and then we're going to try and trim around where the hairline is. If you need to get your template back out to work out where the edge is, that's fine. You can put your template on top. You can see where I just caught it a little bit on the side there, but we're going to cover that up. Put a little piece in, filling in the mouth area. So I've got 2 round balls of black fondant. We've just squished them down a little bit flat. Try and get them to the same size as the eyes on your template. And we'll try and get them in a similar place. So for the nose, I'm taking a tiny piece and I'm trying to cut a little triangle. So I've cut either side a bit of an angle and a little bit off the bottom because it only wants to be small. Just try and stick that on there. If it's not very sticky, just use a bit of water. 2 tiny pieces of black or dark brown just under here. Now I'm going to cut out the eyebrows from the template in brown fondant. So can you see I've rolled the fondant quite thin. So we've stretched it a bit once we've put it in place. So I'm just going to manoeuvre it back to the shape I want it to be. So same for the other one. This one's in 2 pieces. But it's got a little scar on his eyebrow. And then we're going to use the beard now as a template. So we've got more brown fondant rolled out. Now it's quite soft is the fondant, so do be really careful when you're cutting it and picking it up. Now I think I could have just done with nudging mine up just a tiny bit further than I did. So let's just try and give it a nudge with our finger just to move a little bit closer to the edge of the skin tone. Just see if you can get it to stretch down to the bottom all the way around. If you've got extra, you can just trim the extra off from around the edges. And let's put some little lines in now so it looks a little bit more like hair. So sort of from the top and the bottom of the moustache area and down the sides of the hair. So the longer the lines, the longer the hair is going to look. And you can see it's only on his beard and just the side of his hair at the moment. I haven't covered the top of his head, so don't be worrying about that bit just yet. Put more lines in around the bottom of the beard. I've got a separate piece of fondant now for the head, so we've just rolled quite a long piece. And we're just placing that now over his head. Just drape it over. Any bits over the edge, again, we're just going to remove. We're just going to trim them off with a nice sharp knife. And let's use our Dresden tool to put in some more lines. So from his hairline coming out, both sides. Remember, long lines so his hair looks longer. And a few more in the top. Now, I've got plenty of the skin colour mixed up, so I'm just going to use this for his body. So we're going to make very basic shapes. Just make an arch for his legs. Hold it against your template so you can see if it's a similar size. And I know it looks a bit weird, does this at the moment. We will paint it up. Place it on your board just below the body. Or below the head, I should say. And then the body's just going to go in here. So again, just a rough piece that we can shape when we squeeze it on above those legs. Just make sure it does match with the shape of the template. And now it's got a few details on there, so let's just mark them in with our little modelling tool. You can use a cocktail stick or a knife if you prefer. Use a picture for a reference for this, and you'll see when you look at the pictures, there's all different ones, so he wears different outfits on all the different pictures. Now, it's not going to look identical, but I'm not too worried if it's not exactly the same. It's just so I've got it roughly alike. Okay. And because I've just done it in skin colour, we're going to have to paint it up. So I've just got some dark green food colouring. Again, I'll put links in the description box below so you know what I've used. You can just mix it with water or you can mix it with a clear alcohol to paint with. Now, I should have probably been a little bit neater with this than I have. I picked up quite a big paintbrush, so really you want quite a fine paintbrush to paint nice, fine details on with. So he's missing his arms at the moment, but that's fine. Just finish going over these final details with a little bit of gold. So it's all food colour in this. Although you probably don't want to eat the body just because it's solid fondant. But should you really want to, you can do. Okay, so I think that's about okay. It's not the neatest paint job ever, but it will look okay when we're finished. So background, we've got a bit of navy blue and a bit of black mixed together because I wanted a really deep blue. Now, I'm going to try and ruffle it when I stick it on the board. So it looks quite fabric-y. But I want to try and get the ruffles all to come in one direction so that when I finished it, it looks a bit like a choppy sea. Let's just trim off all the extra fondant off the edge. I'll do the same at the other side. Try and push it as close as you can to the side of the cake because we don't want to see the cake board showing next to him. There we go. So we've done that all the way around. I've done it in several pieces. If you can get it on in one piece, it's brilliant, but don't worry if it does have to go on in several pieces. Now this that I'm putting on now is just a bit of piping gel. And you don't have to do this bit if you like it as it is. And I haven't forgotten his arms, just in case anybody was wondering. And we've just got these edible little glitter flakes. They look a bit like fake snow. And I'm just sprinkling these onto the areas that I've put the piping gel. Just thought it would make it look a little bit less flat and add a bit of texture to it. Now for the arms, I've actually moved on to some modelling chocolate. You can still use your fondant, but it was a little bit soft for this, so I wanted something a bit firmer. So I've got some modelling chocolate here. And I rolled a little sausage shape and then thinned it slightly in the middle. And then we just put those markings on again for the arm. But you'll see when I pushed that on in place, I actually pushed out all those markings off the shoulder. So push the arms on first. Then once the arms are on, we can put the markings in. Again with your modelling tool, just like we did on the body. And I've put a little indentation at the end of the arm for our little trident to sit in. If it's not staying on its own, just put a bit of piping gel on the back of it. And the silver paint on it does go on everything, so do be really careful when you're touching it. And we've put a little thumb on, just an oval over the top. And then a little flat piece of skin colour coming from the bottom of the trident going up. Then we're just going to draw in some lines for fingers. Now on the other one, we want the hand to be the opposite way. So our thumb is on the bottom, although you can't really see it. And the fingers are coming from the bottom up, whereas on the other one, they went from the top down. And I'm just going to paint on some details. So it's just the gold bits I need to paint on his shoulders and on his arm. And if you want to add a little bit of shading, you can do. So if you're going to shade, just make sure you're using the edible food colours again. So this one's like a dark cream kind of colour that I've put just around the edge of the face and under the hands. Anywhere that you think a shadow might fall. Then to deepen the colour of the beard, I've actually just swapped to black. So I'm just using a dry brush. You can paint it on wet if you like, but I like using it dry. Or for this one, I like using it dry anyway. So I'm trying to go deeper in the cracks and around sort of the outside edges of things. And I'm going to try and get a little bit on the trident, but you see once the silver is dried, the powder wants to come off quite easily on the silver. So just be careful when you're doing that bit. Let's give his eyes just a little bit of a shine just by adding a little bit of piping gel on each eye like that. So there he is, all finished. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you do like watching my tutorials and you would like to vote for me in the Best Learning Experience Awards for Cake Masters, then please do follow the link in the description box below the video. A really big thank you to everybody that voted for us last year, as we did get through to the final 4. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be able to get through to the final 4 again this year. Thanks again, guys. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and more.